Previously on the Beam Chronicles.
Everyone in the world needs to believe that you are dead.
It was Maria that pulled me back. I owe her a chance at being happy. Maybe that's a shitty reason to marry someone, but she loves me, and I don't know why or how through all of this she still loves me, but...
You left me, Jaxon. I can't even blame you for doing it. I can't believe you actually did.
My daughter, she hadn't spoken to me in a decade. I've never even met the kid. Charlie, she's 5 now, goes to school, doesn't even know her grandpa. The fuck is that?
I'll never accept it, dying. I'll never accept going somewhere where I'm not perfectly certain you can follow me.
Charlie, come on. Do you honestly think I wouldn't find you?
And in exchange, I will rewrite all of the contracts with me to expire in 2 years.
These are the Beam Chronicles, with your host, MJ Dooney. Book 3, Cataclysm, Chapter 1, Jaxon Teaque.
It's funny how a date can be meaningless for you your entire life, then one magical day it picks up so much significance. I had 19 December 20ths in my life before I met Charlie. 19 times that day was marked off the calendar while we were both alive, and the only significance I attributed to it was last day of fall, kind of close to Christmas. Nothing special. Little did I know it was the most special day of the year. If only I knew when I was 7 years old and it was boring regular December 20th that I wasn't celebrating the birthday of my soulmate. Hell, I'd spent most of my December 20ths utterly ignorant to the fact that of all the days on the calendar, that one was the most important. I figured it out though. I think in some ways for quite a while it was my favorite day. It just took me until I was 18 years old to discover it. I needed to get beat up by a girl with locks and a trench coat in the streets of the capital until I was on my knees and under her gun while she asked me my name, then fallen possibly in love with her almost instantly before I realized how great of a date it was. And after that, once I had, there were a good 4 of them in a row that I observed with the proper fanfare and respected for the miracle they were. Last year I broke that streak. But, in fairness to the date itself, there was nothing entirely particular about December 20th that made it a shittier day than most for me. Truthfully, they were all kinda shitty. Sure, it was hard to think of anything but Charlie on her birthday, but for that year after she died, Charlie was pretty much all I thought about anyway. I'd spent one productive, put-together month scouring the planet for any sight of her, and after that failed, I just let myself keep falling and falling. Really wasn't that long ago that I stopped. In fact, I'm pretty sure if I had to pick a specific day when I hit rock bottom, probably was last December 20th. What would have been Charlie's 24th birthday. 1 year ago to the day.
The channel you have selected is out of service.
I took a swig of whiskey, spun the dial on my comm offer channel, then back on. Tapped it again to pager.
The channel you have selected is out of service.
I snickered and repeated the process.
The channel you have selected is out of service.
Shit! I drunkenly groaned, rolling my head back and forth across my forearm, then repeatedly pounding it into the table as this frigid, heartless woman continuously refused to let me wish Charlie a happy birthday. Took a deep audible inhale with my nose, then promptly raised my head off the table. All right. Yeah, let me tell you right now what it is that's happening right now. I pointed across the table and watched my finger droop as I discovered there was nobody there. Share? I designated my audience, reasserting the firmness of my point, then cackled and drew straight from the bottle again. right now, Charlie's ungrouped, but she's alive. She's alive because she's got all her pieces ready to go, ready to pop them back together, but then she doesn't. She's missing that one little piece. I held up my index finger close to my thumb, closing one eye and peering through the slender gap between them at Chair, the most tentative of audiences. One little piece, Chair. Her big toe. Now, you don't think that's much, but Charlie, she loves her big toe. Oh, yeah, she loves it. Been looking all over for it for a year now. I paused for emphasis. Chair was frozen with suspense. And you know what? She just found it. I slammed my hand loudly on the table. Chair probably didn't gasp, but I was pretty sure he did, so I responded as if he had. I know. She can't believe it either. But now that she's got it, whammo, regroup, all of her. She's a little disoriented. She needs a friendly voice to lead her back home. So here I come, and boom. I paged her again.
The channel you have selected is out of service.
Quat. I shrugged, drinking more whiskey as I stumbled up out of my seat and paced away from the table, tripping over my own feet. Then I spun around, extending my entire arm to point at Chair once again. Sherry root instantly! I waited, allowing the furniture to absorb the suspense I was so consummately building. Right away, right after she died, she regrouped, but she had amnesia. She's so lost in Europe or some shit. She joined a damn convent and they kicked her out because she said fuck too much for a nun. I took a swig, rubbed my pulsing forehead. But she just had a flash of her old memory back. It's not much at all, but Charlie just remembered something that's gonna save her life. She just remembered how to turn on her earpiece. Wha-bam!
The channel you have selected is out of service.
Okay. I held my hands up wordlessly, admitting to Chair that I didn't actually know what I was talking about. But what if she thinks she's only been gone for like 5 minutes and then something about special relativity?
The channel you have selected is out of service.
I hung my head, let my bottle swing next to my body. Then, instilled with random confidence in my horrible plan, I confirmed with Chair my next course of action. I'm just gonna do it like 50 times in a row. Ready? Here we go! And I bellowed like a madman as I mashed the button on my earpiece over and over and over. Come on, baby, one more time. Here we go!
Would you like to leave a voice message for Charlie Shea?
What? I practically lost my footing. Who the fuck's in it? I stammered, accidentally out loud. Oh, hey, the voicemail lady. But, hey, your sister's a bitch, voicemail lady.
Please say yes or no.
Have I introduced you to Chair, voicemail lady?
Please say yes or no.
Fine. You're a bitch, too. I grumbled, then lurched, almost throwing up, washing down the bile with another swig of sweet Canadian whiskey. These phone ladies, Chair, they're all so rude.
Please say yes or no.
Yes! I triumphantly plunged my hand into the air as the tone sounded, prompting me to begin my message. Charlie! I called it out like a frat boy, slinging my back into the wall behind me and sliding down to sit on the ground. But saying her name out loud combined with slamming my ass to the floor sobered me just slightly enough to make me realize I couldn't possibly be talking to Charlie. I'd probably, in my inebriated disorder, misdialed somebody else by mistake and got their voicemail, heard the name I wanted to hear. I paused a moment to swallow, breathe, stare into space. Yeah, it's me. It's JT. It was the first time I'd heard her old nickname for me said aloud since she disappeared, and upon hearing it, I could already feel the tired, burning pressure in my tear ducts, so I started scrubbing one eye. This was a much better idea in my head, but then I'm also kind of slammed right now, so I guess all my ideas are gonna be good, right? I chuckled. It felt oddly therapeutic, important to continue. Even for as wasted as I was, I knew she'd never hear it, but just in case she miraculously did, just in case whomever I called by mistake heard it and doubted the authenticity of my spiral, I wanted to say what was on my mind. I wanted to tell someone, maybe exclusively because I hadn't told anyone yet. At that point, it was still my dirty little secret. I'm lost, love. My words shook, lips trembled as the tears fell into the corners of my mouth. I sniffed in and cleared my throat before continuing. I don't know where the hell I am anymore, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and I tried for a while, just to keep going, live my life without... Anyway, I did try, and I know if you were here, you'd be telling me that I didn't try hard enough and that I should keep barreling on, but I guess, it's hard to see the point. Sometimes you just get too lost to do anything about it. You know that. I hesitated, glaring ahead at my untied shoelaces stretched in front of me, waiting for the room to stop spinning. I wondered if it was even still recording. If it had cut out a long time ago and I didn't realize it because I was too plastered. Maybe I was just talking to this empty room. But whatever. I needed to finish. I needed to say what I needed to say. I'm so sorry, Charlie. I know I promised you that the last time you died, the time before this one, I promised I'd be right behind you. I promised you couldn't go anywhere, that I wouldn't follow, but I guess I don't get to, No, wrong. This was the wrong path. This wasn't what I wanted to say. I miss you so much. I sobbed, bringing my hand across my tightly clenched eyes because my head was throbbing. I miss you so much, I can't even move sometimes, and I love you, Charlie. I love you forever, just like we always said. Not better, not right. Try again. I sighed, pulling my hand off my face, brushing it off on my pants, and then I laughed. I can't even sleep. It's pathetic. You'd make fun of me so much if you were here, love. You'd laugh your ass off. I gotta start in your bed, or else I never even come close. And then even when I do, I wake up in a different room every morning, and Sid has to look for me. It's so lame. I don't know what's wrong with me, or well, I guess I do know. Huh? This was still wrong. These weren't the things I had to say out loud. These were things that everybody knew, that everybody would assume. What I had to say was something more poignant, less beautiful. Mean. And then it struck me. Charlie. I hung on her name just for a moment, picturing her face in my head before I continued. Her massive, entrancing, icy blue eyes, her crooked, perfect, half-committed flinch of a smile. I'm so fucking pissed at you for this. I finally admitted. And I know that's crazy. I know it's backwards, but whatever. I'm so angry that you would do this to me. I can't believe that you would... And then better words than my own came to me. Even as I articulated them, they didn't feel like they were coming from my mouth. Maybe it was because I was drunk. Maybe that was because I was stealing them. I was saying to her exactly what she said to me when I died years ago. When Lindsay Flair shot me in the chest with a laser, I was telling her what she told me, letting her know we were finally even. You left me behind, Charlie, and I can't even be mad at you for doing it. I just cannot believe you actually did. I think it was perfect, but who was I to tell, drunk as I was? Perfect was a concept I had little familiarity with these days. I couldn't distinguish it from good enough. I filled my lungs to capacity really slowly, then tried to smile, hovering my thumb against the button on my earpiece to hang up. Happy birthday, love. I never stop thinking about you, and I'll see you in my dreams. I hung up, then stumbled to my feet, meandered into my bathroom and glared at my wretched, hairy face in the mirror. My head wobbled to and fro, pivoting around on my neck like a car antenna, and I snorted, then lifted the bottle to my lips and finished it off, tossing it into the bathroom with a loud shatter. I leaned over the counter, growling and snarling at my cross-eyed, stupid face, hiccuping and groaning at the pathetic savage I'd become. That's when inspiration struck me. Now there's an idea. Right or left? I asked myself, peeling down one eyelid, then the other, as I looked at my reflection. Which one do I want? Which one of you suckers deserves it more? I elected not to relive what happened next. But in any case, Sydney started knocking on my door, dragging me out of my reminiscent stare back to reality. There I was, eating some ridiculously non-nutritious breakfast cereal 1 year later, December 20th. Charlie's birthday just kept coming back, even if she never would. So open said, I called out to him, shoveling another spoonful of cereal into my mouth as he stepped over the threshold into my apartment. He halted once he got inside, lifted out his hands, and widened his eyes, feigning utter surprise to find me exactly where I said I was, without having to search the building. What's up, Pervol?
My word. Look at you, in your own apartment, eating breakfast. What an outstanding progressive day.
I swallowed my cereal, dug around sheepishly in the bowl. Yeah, well, to be honest, I'm not sure if I kicked the sleepwalking habit. Pretty certain I never fell asleep at all. Don't be too proud of me, bud.
Nonsense, I am always proud of you, brother.
He pulled out the chair and sat across from me, launching into the exchange that had grown to define our relationship.
Are you all right?
I'm fine.
Liar.
I smirked. With that out of the way, can I offer you a bowl?
Thank you, but no, I just ate.
Chicken nuggets? He smiled, nodded once. For breakfast.
What do you want from me?
Sid, you might actually like this stuff. It's like 90% sugar.
I know. I have attempted to eat it before, but it is not the taste that deters me, it is the texture. My dentition is poorly suited for such a crunchy meal.
Ah, yeah, good point. I forgot, no molars. That'd be an issue. He beamed at me, then like he was so urgently excited it couldn't possibly stay in his head, blurted out.
I mean, look at you.
He shook an open, upturned palm in my direction.
You are even dressed. You remembered Murphy's party. You put on your suit without me reminding you to. It is like you are a complete person again. This is a spectacular sight, Jaxon.
I blushed, swirling my breakfast around, unwilling to contribute to how overinflatedly impressed he was that I got dressed this morning, and remembered that my boss of nearly 6 years was retiring today. Thanks, Sid. Hey, by the way, how are you getting to the shindig? Need a lift?
I was going to travel by foot, actually.
Dude, that's far. The park's like miles away.
I am quite fast.
I am quite faster. I mocked his voice inflection perfectly, and he laughed his infectious, choppy laugh. It was a good enough argument to get him to oblige, and I knew he wouldn't allow me to travel on my own anyway. We flew to the park as soon as I'd finished my cereal. It took a moment to pass through the horde of paparazzi, media, and fans who had gathered at the venue, essentially just for the two of us. I could have flown over them, landed at the party itself, beyond the hefty security holding the masses at bay, but it didn't matter. Not like anyone could hurt us, and Sid and I had found a much stabler relationship with the public these days, now that the anomaly problem had sputtered out and we weren't murdering our own kind for their misguided amusement. We signed a few autographs, gave a quote or two, took a couple pictures. There's a little group of boys who had painted their faces purple to look like Sid, so he got held up making their day, growling and flexing in an adorable little circle as I pressed through to the party grounds. I walked around by myself for a while, but all the talking I'd just done had me pretty thirsty, so I went to fetch a drink. But the instant after I walked away from the bar, I heard it from behind me.
What's in the cup, Teaque?
I recognized his gruff voice instantly, spun around to face him, smiling widely. Well, if it isn't the man of the hour himself. Congratulations, Murph. I wrapped my arms around his stocky shoulders, and he brusquely patted me on the back with a light chuckle.
Yeah, thanks, kid, but listen up your drink. That better be soda.
Tonic, actually, I said, emerging from the hug.
Bullshit. Nobody drinks straight tonic.
I passed him my glass like he almost always made me do when he got suspicious, especially since my last relapse. Murphy took a small sip of it, wrinkled up his forehead, and frowned.
Ugh, damn, that is tonic.
I told you.
They use that shit to clean carpet, you know. Are you some kind of masochist?
It's a coping mechanism I came up with for my recovery. In theory, if I get the tonic but skip the gin, my brain is half satisfied with the compromise. He patronizingly rolled his eyes.
Yeah? Is it working?
Hell no. Flat nasty. He belly laughed uproariously and slapped my shoulder a bit harder than you'd expect from a dude in his 70s.
So, where's the prettier Teaque, huh?
It took me a bit to figure out he was talking about Caraway, who, right, no longer liked being called Caraway, since that wasn't actually her name anymore. I swallowed all of the guilt associated with twice forgetting she was my wife in about 2 seconds for the sake of the conversation. Maria's on her way. She told me she was busy and she'd meet up with me later. Apparently, she's had a pretty overwhelming first month as head equalizer. I guess the asshole who left her the position had never heard of a filing cabinet.
Hey, I had a system, all right? Just because she doesn't understand it doesn't mean she can miss my party.
Nah, of course. She'll be here soon, but she's also got this thing about celebrating accomplishments more intimately or something. She wants to see you off privately sometime. I don't know. She told me the whole story. I wasn't really paying attention.
Ain't that the recipe to healthy marriage?
Hey, if you're looking at our marriage for recipes, prepare to blow up your kitchen. He smiled sadly, elected to change the subject, which was for the best.
You, worried about my disorganization fumbling you up when you take over as top dog tomorrow?
Nah, I smirked. Because you only had a month to cock things up, I trust that Prophet ran a tight enough ship. You couldn't undo all of it in such a short time.
Yeah, well, you don't realize how sloppy I am.
From Beam's conception to Charlie's death, there was exactly one person who held each of the most important positions at the Bureau. One head of Ava, one head of Equalizers, one head of Beam. Charlie, Murphy, Howie, respectively. Now, as Beam worked its way into the new anomaly-free, safe, and stable era, it seemed our little internal stability was more questionable than ever before. All three top positions were revolving doors. Take head of Ava, for example. Without Charlie, I was the most senior member of the department, and thus stepped into the position of leader very briefly. By that point, it was only a title, considering the department was down to 2 members and essentially never did any fighting, with anomalistic activity cooling off so drastically after we thwarted Tyler Foon. But about a year later, once Maria relinquished her position as head of Beam Mountain to take care of my wasted, useless self, I too relinquished my position as head of Ava to Sid. Again, it was completely irrelevant who got to call themselves boss, had no impact on day-to-day life, but incidentally, Sydney in charge did briefly provide a convenient way to deprive myself of my other guilty pleasure, Tyler Foon. I couldn't go to him for idle, distracting chit-chat anymore because I wasn't important enough to know where he was hidden. That secret was held by Sydney, Murphy, Howard Prophet, and most recently Maria. Because the second and current head of Equalizers was Maria, who accepted the job from Murphy once Murphy got promoted to be the second head of Beam. Murphy held this position for all of a month, largely just to stuff his bank account and smooth the transition before the retirement we were currently celebrating. Head of Beam once was such a ruthless job, orchestrator of genocide, mastermind of murder, that only a twisted, ambitious bastard like Howard Prophet could effectively hold on to it without going insane. But the moral conundrums associated with being head of Beam were mostly erased again, thanks to our thwarting of them 2 years prior. These days, Beam amounted to a research facility, an anomaly processing plant, a figurehead to remind people of the past, and a mostly vacant prison. Anybody could do Howie's job without qualm or hardly any stress, and they would make a buttload of money doing it. Which is why I graciously accepted it when Murphy offered it to me a few weeks ago. So to summarize, because it got a little messy and random and borderline nepotistic who succeeded who sometimes, head of Ava went Charlie, then me, then Sid. Head of Equalizers went Murphy, then Maria, and head of Beam went Prophet, then Murph, and starting tomorrow, me. Which only left one question: what happened to Howard Prophet? The short answer was he finally took over the world, but again at this point, titles were just titles. Prophet possessed the same unparalleled power he always had, whether he went by head of Beam or President of the United States. I mean, we all should have guessed the devil would eventually get back into politics.
Papa, come on! I want to show you my cartwheels!
The little girl in a red dress eagerly smiled a gappy smile as she tugged on the bottom of Murphy's shirt.
In a minute, princess.
He chuckled, tucking it back in.
I'm talking to a buddy right now. You remember Jaxon Teaque?
Wait, are you the one that made me fly last time?
She asked, scrunching up her mouth and tapping the side of her cheek. I'm sorry, little girl. I coyly smirked as I telekinetically hoisted her feet off the ground and she giggled, waving her arms around. I don't have any idea what you're even talking about.
Spin me!
She eagerly commanded, and I did, around our heads fast enough to put her right on the edge of puking. Just the way kids love it, but not Grandpa's.
Come on, Teaque, she's gonna retch!
Murphy finally stopped me, and I set his granddaughter back on the ground, where she cackled and stumbled around for a few seconds and sprinted off, waving for Murphy to follow her.
I guess Papa Duty calls,
Murph said, slapping me heartily on the back. You wouldn't want to disappoint that face.
Don't think I'm even able if I were willing.
And as he turned to look at me, a parting smile from a jolly old retiree, I watched the glee in his eyes slowly melt into reminiscent despair. Murphy's fingers were thick and strong, rough like sandpaper, yet when he brushed them across the scar running down my right eye, the touch was so tender and soft. When I opened the eyes again, tears were welling up on his lower eyelids, and I couldn't help but chuckle a little. Come on, Murph. Not this again. Not here.
I just wish you would have told me, kid.
He sniffed, quickly dabbing his eyes with his tie.
I would have helped you, you know. Smack some goddamn sense into you.
You did help me, I assured him. All of you did. You saved me.
I just wish I'd known sooner. I wish you would have told me.
I didn't tell anybody, Murphy. Don't feel so special. He stared at me for a while until I sheepishly nose-laughed. Glanced away. This was hardly the time nor the place for Murphy to get caught up in how awesome my life was. Grandpa, she really wants to show you her cartwheels.
Oh, right.
He gracefully accepted my deflection, rustling his mustache, wiping off his cheeks.
Almost forgot about that. Anyway, thank you for coming, Jaxon. It's good to see you out and about. All right? All right, somebody over here is a little too cute to be...
And I watched him. The bow-legged yet spry old man who closest approximated my father, bounding across the park and hiking up his pants as he chased after the 7-year-old girl, giggling and running away from him, laughing over her shoulder to make sure he hadn't stopped pursuing her. It was one of the few things in my life that made me sincerely pleased. The fact that Murphy had rekindled his relationship with his daughter and her kid. Such a simple little piece of perfection sliced out of the grime for a man I loved more than I loved myself. Watching Murphy have his normal life, watching him actually be happy, was the closest I could get to roughing happiness for myself anymore. While I was looking at him, hoisting her over his shoulder as she shrieked in delight and he hooted like a wild man, I could almost ignore the black hole in my heart. The void of darkness Charlie left me that I could never fill, never light up, only get distracted, and only in moments as wonderful as this. People could tell me that it was good I got dressed in the morning. that I came out and drank tonic and talked to the public. They could compliment my progress and tell me I was back in one piece all they wanted to. Hell, I appreciated the reminder that I was adept enough at faking it that they couldn't detect the difference, but it would take an impossible miracle to actually get me out of the dark. The best I could do was ignore it.
Your cup, what is in it?
I glance over my shoulder to find Sydney, extending his hand to also check my drink the way Murphy did a few minutes ago. Tonic, I said as I passed it to him, not looking away from this flawless snapshot of the happy life I knew was lost to me, but still wished I could find.
Ew.
Sydney muttered after he took a sip.
This is disgusting. Stop drinking it. Come, Madman Mathis wants to ask you lewd questions about Maria.
I tossed my drink into the nearest trash can and followed my brother to make small talk with the creepy middle-aged veterans who borderline understood my waste of life. I caught up with them for hours, ate delicious cake, watched people dance and mingle and live. I met up with Murphy's daughter again. I told her some embarrassing stories about her dad in the fields while he blushed and denied them. Eventually, my wife showed up, and we pretended to be happier than we were, as all of our coworkers from across the country assaulted us with annoying questions about newlywed life, having kids, and stuff like that. Toward the end of the party, there was a sequence of toasts in his honor from all the equalizers and beam staff that knew him the best. I gave one, but wasn't half as respectful as Lane Rector's, or half as heartfelt as Maria's, or half as roll-on-the-floor hysterical as Sydney, and Sydney alone thought his own was. In the end, most of the ancillary people, plus Murphy's family, took their leave, while the rest of us sat around a bonfire Cal Sparks started illegally in the park, but got away with when she flashed his beam credentials. This fire, like all things, was missing one key component, but there were stints while I was at it, laughing and reminiscing with Sid and Murphy and Maria and Phil and all the rest, where I forgot that it was Charlie's birthday long enough to be sort of okay. Sort of okay was my new maximum. It was far from the best December 20th in my life, but it was mountains better than the last one. So at least they were improving, right? At this rate, eventually, when I was an old man, assuming I ever got that far before the world turned on me, it would probably go back to being my favorite day. Charlie's birthday. The day responsible for creating the person in the universe who, for the briefest segment of my wicked life, made me feel whole. Even if I only knew her for 4 years, it'd take 1,000,000 to make me forget her. I didn't hate December 20th. I never would. I hated 1 week from tomorrow, December 28th. That's the day that took her away from me. The 2-year anniversary of the day she left me behind.
Thank you for listening to the Beam Chronicles, a fiction podcast written and produced by me, MJ Dooney, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your summer. Mine was splendid. You can follow the show on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, although kind of like last year, I don't have much going on right now. I did actually commission a bit of art over the summer, and it looks amazing, but I'm waiting until I have more of a plan before I start posting it. I know I've been saying this stuff since the beginning, but I really think this is the year where I actually do social media promotion and stuff. So follow me. See if I'm lying. Anyway, please keep telling your friends about the show. Word of mouth is everything. If you want to email me, beamchronicles@gmail.com. And if you want to help me out, 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcast moves mountains. Now, if you really want to help me out, I started one of those buy me a coffee things. I feel awkward about this. I am not trying to turn a profit on my passion project. But stuff like cover art, music, podcast hosting kind of adds up. I don't have any sort of membership plans or exclusive content or perks to offer right now. Kind of like social media, I guess. Maybe one day. But for now, if you're inclined to give me a few bucks to help cover costs, I'd be incredibly grateful. There's a link to the page in the episode description now. It says support the show. Either way, it does a lot for me mentally that people care to listen to my story. So if that's all you're looking to do, please continue doing it. All music and sound effects were sourced from the Epidemic Sound Library. Special thanks to Sergio Duarte for creating the cover art for this show. Welcome back one more time. I'm excited to get back into this. Thanks again for listening.